the man we want. He could be our murderer.
At 10:05 this evening on Grampian, we have comedy with those happy-go-lucky chaps known as the management. That's Phil and Pace. Then at 10:35, Melvin Bragg introduces the South Bank Show, which tonight focuses on the award-winning Colombian writer Gabriel Garcia Marquez and his lesser-known work as a scriptwriter for the cinema. At 11:35, we go within the walls of Cell Block H, where Pat has decided to go ahead with her appeal after a visit from her children. And our nighttime programmes get underway at 12:30 with Quiz Night, introduced by Ross King. All those programmes still to come this evening on Grampian.
The last few years have seen Nambari grow from a new name to one that's on thousands of Scottish lips. Nambari, a delightful blend of choice teas that is becoming a Scottish favourite. Nambari tea bags, the big story of the 80s.
Oh, hello. Did you know that when you order Esso heating oil from Highland Fuels, you get that little bit extra? You see, you not only get Esso's premier service, which keeps me warm all winter, but you also get Esso Tiger tokens to exchange for great quality gifts. Call Highland Fuels to find out more.
Car ma vie, car les joies, aujourd'hui, ça commence avec toi.
You'll never regret buying Hitachi.
Ah, that orange Fanta Fizz. On your tongue, you can feel the fizz of the Fanta going down. When orange fizzes, when orange fizzes, it's Fanta. When orange fizzes, when orange fizzes, it's Fanta.
Yes, boss. I'd like a juice and door, please. What sort have you got? 600 juice and doors.
Do you want to juice an exterior, interior, fire, patio or garage door?
Oh, exterior.
Period, panel, pairs or flush?
Oh, juice and period.
Juice and hardwood or juice and softwood?
Oh, hardwood, definitely.
Brazilian mahogany, red Moranti, juice and Luan.
Mahogany sounds nice.
6 panel, 4 panel fanlight, Gothic half light, Tudor, Knightsbridge, Kentucky, half bolt or juice and portcullis.
Portcullis, I think.
And what size?
2.8 for 6.8.
Right.
If you want doors, we've got the juicing lot.
Is there anything else?
Yeah, you got any juice and windows?
Gerard Conlon, one of the Guildford Four, released 2 weeks ago after spending 14 years in prison for a crime he did not commit. In 1975, 6 Irishmen were convicted for Britain's worst terrorist outrage, the Birmingham pub bombings, which killed 21 people. World in Action compares the Guildford and Birmingham cases, presenting new information that strengthens demands to reopen the case of the Birmingham 6. World in Action, Monday, 8:30 on ITV.
news from ITV.
Mrs. Thatcher insists I'm not to blame for Lawson's resignation. Howe and Heseltine insist we'll not challenge for the leadership. Tens of thousands at South Africa's biggest anti-government rally. And the goal that puts Liverpool back at the top of the league. Good evening. The Prime Minister today stoutly defended herself in the wake of the Lawson resignation crisis, saying she wasn't to blame for his decision to go. She also denounced the tittle-tattle and false rumours surrounding Mr. Lawson's resignation as Chancellor on Thursday. In an interview on ITV, Mrs. Thatcher admitted she didn't know whether he would have stayed had she sacked her economic advisor, Sir Alan Walters. An NOP phone poll in tomorrow's Independent newspaper says that Mrs. Thatcher is the most unpopular Prime Minister since polling began.
Facing some of the roughest and toughest questioning she's ever had to handle, Mrs. Thatcher insisted no less than 8 times that Nigel Lawson's resignation was, and still is, Nigel Lawson's business, not hers.
Nigel's position, as I said to him, is unassailable. He was a very strong
It isn't now, is it? He's gone.
That is his choice. I tried to persuade him to stay. I couldn't believe that he would go when he's been such a strong Chancellor, and his position was unassailable.
Do you deny that Nigel would have stayed if you had sacked Professor Alan Walters?
I don't know.
Of course, but that's a terrible admission, Prime Minister.
I don't know. Of course
You don't know. You could have kept your Chancellor, possibly, if you had sacked your part-time advisor.
I wanted to keep my Chancellor in any event, because he was very good. His position was unassailable, and let's face it, Brian, he was Chancellor.
By which Mrs. Thatcher meant that a dispute about an advisor, one small thing she called it, couldn't have caused a Chancellor to resign. But weren't there constant rows with Mr. Lawson over 6 years?
Do you really think that kind of situation could have gone on for 6 years?
Yes, everybody thinks
moment.
that. 18
no,
months.
they do not.
18 months.
You come from 6 years to 18 months
Yes.
pretty smartly. Let's get it down to 18 days or 18 minutes or 18 seconds.
It was the closest Mrs. Thatcher came to losing her temper. On joining the full European monetary system, which Nigel Lawson favoured, well, we'd join only when the rest of Europe honoured the Madrid deal.
They talk about being European and communautaire. We practice it. We're much more open than they are. And they really have to start to do things as well as say them. It's no earthly good talking about things unless they're prepared to free up. The more they free up, the better pleased I shall be.
But should not the Prime Minister be moving to a more yielding, less authoritarian style of working with her ministers?
I'm staying my own sweet, reasonable self, founded on very strong convictions.
Prime Minister, I must stop you there.
No, you must not.
Thank you very... I must. Thank you very much indeed.
Strong leadership will continue.
The man who will most immediately carry forward the strong leader's ideas, the new Chancellor John Major, was taking things relatively easy today. But he faces not one, but 2 full-scale economic debates in the Commons in the coming week, and the reaction of the markets. 3 big questions for those markets next week, and all foreshadowed in Mrs. Thatcher's interview today. First, how seriously will they judge the current political turmoil here to be? Second, have the chances of Britain joining the full EMS increased or decreased after what she said? And third, will the Chancellor reach for higher interest rates or Bank of England intervention if the pound comes under pressure? And the political reaction to Mrs. Thatcher's words today?
By strong government, she means domineering government, whereby the Prime Minister supervises every corner of policy, irrespective of what ministers do, say, or think. What we have to have in this country is cabinet government, not arrogant prime ministerial government.
I mean, let's assess the situation. The passengers are fed up and confused. Half the experienced crew has been sacked. The engineer jumped overboard last week. All around us are icebergs, and the captain says the best thing to do is to lock herself in the bridge, shut her ears to any advice, close her eyes, and keep the course exactly as it is.
The only man without an apparent care in the world? The former Chancellor himself, happy for the moment to leave others to grapple with all the problems. Michael Brunson, ITN, Westminster.
For the Prime Minister, business as usual meant church as usual near Chequers today. She'll have been aware that her interview this afternoon would be watched anxiously by Tory backbenchers, many of whom have called for a softer leadership style following the resignation crisis.
senior backbencher Sir Anthony Mayer says she must change or go.
It simply has to be a change of style, and if she's not prepared to change her style, then I think we've got to face up to the position of whether we can continue with her as leader.
But few MPs would agree with Sir Anthony that the Prime Minister must be replaced now. And today, two of the most likely candidates dismissed the possibility of a challenge.
I will not stand against Mrs. Thatcher.
Under any circumstances whatsoever?
Under any circumstances that I can foresee.
There's no question of me making any challenge or anything of that kind. It's the kind of thing the commentators have said throughout almost the 15 years that I've worked with the Prime Minister.
While it appears that Mrs. Thatcher is safe from any serious contest, there may be a protest candidate.
There will probably be a challenge by at least a token candidate, I think, this year. And who do you think that token candidate will be? Or it could be anybody. Being a token candidate, it would hardly matter. But I've heard talk in the lobbies that that is the proposal.
The Prime Minister would so easily defeat such a token candidate that he or she would be something of a human sacrifice. But any leadership contest would be damaging. Back at Downing Street tonight, Mrs. Thatcher is preparing to face a difficult week in the Commons. Kim Catcherside, ITN, Westminster.
More than 70,000 people have packed Soweto Football Stadium to stage the biggest anti-government rally in South African history. In an unprecedented show of support for the outlawed African National Congress, recently freed ANC leaders received rapturous welcomes. Nelson Mandela's number 2, Walter Sisulu, said, "Today the ANC has captured centre stage in South Africa."
They came in their thousands from townships across South Africa, with their flags and their banners, making this the biggest demonstration of support ever seen for the outlawed African National Congress. Police were deliberately held back to allow the rally to go ahead and to allow young comrades to put on a paramilitary display as they delivered Walter Sisulu to his people. He and Nelson Mandela's other lifelong colleagues now free to mount a political platform for the first time in almost 30 years. Their wives were fettered too, though Winnie Mandela must wait for her reunion with a husband still in jail.
The government maintains the African National Congress is still banned, but today's historic rally has effectively seen the organisation resurface after almost 3 decades underground.
In his address, Mr. Sisulu said the ANC was ready to talk to the government if it lifted the state of emergency to create a climate for talks.
If such a climate is created, the ANC is prepared, as the Harare Declaration says, to discuss the suspension of hostility on both sides. There can be no question of unilaterally abandoning the armed struggle.
And so these aging leaders spoke to their people and they sang their anthem, music and images unprecedented in recent history, and which may be evidence that a new South Africa may not for these men be just a dream. Kevin Dunn, ITN, Soweto.
There were extraordinary scenes in East Berlin today when communist leaders came under a tirade of questions during an officially organised public rally called to debate reforms. 20,000 people turned up. They held a minute's silence to remember those who died trying to cross the Berlin Wall, the first time there's been such public mourning since the wall was built.
It's come to this in East Germany. A vast crowd outside City Hall in East Berlin haranguing party officials who'd approved this demonstration and even regretted their past conduct. First, Berlin's police chief virtually apologized for earlier violence against demonstrators. The reform movement is demanding an inquiry into this. Then the city's Communist Party chief, Günter Schabowski, looked more and more unhappy as speaker after speaker challenged the party's right to dictate political life. East Germans are becoming ever more ready to challenge the authorities, provoking this outburst from Mr. Schabowski. "We're in a crisis," he said, "but to say the party is simply a bureaucracy is unacceptable." But they simply jeered him. Later, this church saw an extraordinary gathering. Banners advertised the next demonstration. Prominent West Berlin leaders arrived to sit with communist officials at a concert staged by the New Forum opposition group for arrested demonstrators. Tonight, East German TV flashed up pictures of the latest demonstration in the Baltic port of Rostock.
As each day passes, the demonstrators are pressurizing the East German authorities into concessions. At this pace, they'll reach a point from which there's no return. Ian Glover-James, ITN, in West Berlin.
Latest exit polls on the Spanish election are predicting that Felipe González has been re-elected Prime Minister in today's general election for the third time running. But Spanish television is suggesting tonight that the socialist leader may have only just managed to hold on to his parliamentary majority. It's projecting that Señor González's party has won between 177 and 180 seats. It needs 176 to win. The peace campaigners in Northern Ireland who staged a sit-in protest on a train have arrived safely in Dublin. Around 70 passengers, including Irish politicians, spent the night in a railway siding at Newry in County Down after they refused to get off because of a bomb scare. The campaigners were travelling back from Belfast after protesting against IRA attacks on the north-south rail link.
For nearly 24 hours, the protesters, a dozen Irish MPs amongst them, refused to leave the train and carry on to Dublin by bus, as most of the other passengers did last night. They spent the night and most of the day at Portadown Station, an unscheduled continuation of yesterday's peace train protest.
We don't expect that the IRA, who've been involved in so many murderous and mad acts over the years, are going to listen to us. But there is public opinion. There's also a matter of principle. The principle of being able to travel freely in your own country without intimidation. And that's what's important to us.
And it's also important that what happens every day to workers, shoppers, tourists, travellers, ordinary people, that this is exposed. And that we are saying basically that we're not prepared to tolerate it any longer.
Late this afternoon, the Irish Army finally declared the line south of the border clear of bombs. The call had been a hoax, and the train at last set off through the drizzle to Dublin. Vernon Mann, ITN, Newry, Northern Ireland.
Football, Liverpool are back on top of Division 1 of the Barclays League after beating Tottenham 1-0 at Anfield this afternoon.
The big match began as the big clash when Liverpool's venison appeared to elbow the Spurs midfielder Naeem, but the referee viewed the Spaniards' dramatics as pure theatre. But Tottenham suffered a real blow after 25 minutes when Houghton's through ball split their back four and John Barnes netted his 7th goal of the season. The Liverpool machine then jumped up a gear and Tottenham were outclassed for long periods. Barnes again bringing the best out of Torsved in the Tottenham goal. But the domination failed to bring more goals. Several chances were scorned. Ian Rush wayward for once. And then Houghton fired at the keeper instead of the goal. Tottenham mounted a spirited second-half fight-back, Howells almost clinching a point for Spurs in the dying moments. But after 2 successive defeats, Liverpool are back in style, the First Division ominously looking up at them back at the top again.
One of the pioneers of radio broadcasting, the band leader Henry Hall, has died at a nursing home in Eastbourne. He was 91. His guest night show won him star status in the 30s, 40s and 50s. Henry Hall, who died this weekend. That's it from all of us here. Have a very good evening.
Good evening. Well, you can always rely on the view from space to confirm your worst suspicions. Thick bands of cloud and rain moving north and east across the country during the rest of this evening and tonight. But out behind me, out to the west, there's some blue skies, so a brighter day for us all tomorrow with some sunshine. For the rest of tonight, though, well, there's still quite a lot of rain around. As we go through the night, these southwesterly winds will drive the rain away north and east. So many parts of England...